Harold, it's great that you've come to join us from Cincinnati. Please tell us what you do and the work that you do.
Yeah, I would first say Jai Shri Krishna, that's in India. Good morning. And thank you, friends, for and especially Dr. Carrie for giving me an opportunity to talk to you and to the world globally. Number one, I always say that I'm a common man from India. And I always describe myself in 3 words that I say I'm a sinner, I'm a common man, and a failure. But today I'm proud to say that after surviving being a victim of labor trafficking and debt bondage, and today I'm thriving. I got appointed in December 2015 on the United States Advisory Council on Human Trafficking, appointed by President Barack Obama, which was a big blessing. I think it's God's blessing. And I got reappointed by President Trump. And my only passion and purpose in life is, I always say that at one point I failed on 4 P's. I failed as a parent, I failed as a provider, I failed as a protector, and I failed as a person. But the same 4 P's got flipped into purpose, passion, prosperity, and prayers. So today, the work I'm doing, it's that I'm just trying to be the voice, courage, hope, and freedom for all the victims who are voiceless. So I'm trying to be their voice. And I started a nonprofit called Eyes Open International that is creating global awareness on human trafficking. So basically, it is focused on 4 things again. It's on prevention, education, empowerment, and protection. And that's what I'm focused on, because America is the destination, and many countries like India, Pakistan, Nepal, Mexico are the source. So I'm trying to put a stop at the source. Thank you.
So, Harold, tell us a little bit more about how that all works. I mean, how do people get recruited into being trafficked, and particularly for these long haul trafficking relationships? You know, from India to America is a long haul.
Yeah, but you have to understand the culture of each country. So in many countries, for example, I would say in India, Pakistan, Nepal, the culture I know is in very strong. Mine is an arranged marriage. And why I give example of arranged marriage is that during 1994, there was no internet. We could not even exchange photographs. I just went to her house. So I got married on 4 things. I got married on a promise, on a trust, on a faith, and on a commitment. Same way, I was invited to the United States of America on an H-1B visa. So just understand the psychology, how the perpetrators operate, and how the victims fall a trap. So I came again on 4 things. I came on a trust, I came on a faith, I came on a promise, and I came to live my American dreams. But understand one thing, I was educated, and I came legally on an H-1B visa on a $75,000 salary. But in each and every country, I would say especially India, there are so much vulnerable population that they're all excited to come to the USA. Because for them even today, they call it Swarg. America jo uche means it is Swarg. Swarg means heaven. And this only God's chosen people are taken there. It's not everybody gets an opportunity. Even today, believe it or not. So people are so that mesmerized. I don't know what it is, what do you call it. So there are a lot of, India population is very thick. So there are a lot of people who are very vulnerable. I would not say they're not educated. They don't know what's happening here. Number 1. Number 2, people who are already trapped here, they do not go back and communicate to their own people there. They do not come illegally. Like most of the people who come, like in my case, there are a lot of people like Ian who come on a B1, B2 visa. That's a visit visa where you can only stay for 6 months. But these family members do not tell them, they overstay, and they're on the wrong side of the law. So I'm trying to educate them. And most of the people do not know also, they just pay the agent. Like one lady paid 53 lakhs.
Which is what? What's 53 lakhs?
Is $74,000 in North India. She's from North India. And you can read the article in the newspapers. There were 311 people who were deported from Mexico, I think in the month of October of 2019. And this lady paid 53 lakhs, that is $74,000 for herself, her husband, and her child, not knowing where she's going to land. So there was no visa. So I think she was hopping. I don't know what the agent did. It took her 6 months. And she reached Mexico border, and she was crossing the Mexico border in the jungle. She saw dead bodies. She was struggling. She was panicking. Eventually, I think it was a blessing that she got caught. Because out of 10, I would say 9 don't make it. Why? I would say at least 5 die. Only 1 by chance, by default, arrives in the US. And she
So
was.
are you saying the route is down into South America and then up through the border?
Yes. So, but eventually she was deported back. But when she went back, she said that never ever I will go to the United States of America, not in that route, because people, when they pay the money, they do not know anything. See, and I was in North India. I was doing a presentation at the US consulate at Delhi, and I was talking to them, but they said they do not have any jurisdiction outside their embassy to interfere into the Indian laws. But there are offices, very well designed offices, inviting people. Oh, we'll send you to America. We'll send you to Canada. So those things needs to stop. Okay, you do help somebody for a student visa as an agent, or for a B1, B2 visa, or for a PR, permanent residency card, and you take money, or that's fine. But manipulating them, tricking them, and trapping them, saying that, oh, we'll send you to the United States of America, you pay me $53,000 or $74,000, and you cannot make that type of money in 1 year or in your entire lifetime. And people are not aware. It's so tough here. Like, you know it, I know it. We all have to work. There's minimum wages. They don't know the law. And I always tell, like when I was in India in November, that if you enter United States of America legally, it is heaven. But if you enter America as illegal, it is hell.
That's a simple message. How many people do you think this is affecting from the Indian subcontinent?
I think it is very high. To be honest, I always tell that we do not have the data, the exact data, especially in labor trafficking, because in the United States of America, 90% of the victims of human labor trafficking are foreign nationals or immigrants. And from that again, 90%, 85% are male. And for a male victim, it's a stigma, it's a shame, because they come here to make some money and send back to their family. So they come in a positive attitude. So their hearts are clean. They're honest people. They're not criminals. But these people are always named or nicknamed as illegal. Many people are not aware. In the case of human labor trafficking in the United States of America, they are always called illegal. They'll not call them by name. Why? Number one, when they always call them by illegal, it gets into the mind, body, and soul that they're a criminal and they are wanted. So that they surrender. So people
they surrender to the trafficker.
Right. And see, then they kind of, and the most important fact is that the trafficker manipulates them, tricks them, and traps them. Oh, you're a immigrant. That the immigration department or the law enforcement agencies are behind you to jail you. They use 4 words. I'll get you arrested. All traffickers in the United States of America to the labor victim uses 4 words. Number 1, I'll get you arrested. Number 2, I'll get you handcuffed, and they show it, putting the hands behind. Number 3, I'll get you jailed. And number 4, I'll get you deported. And believe me, Dr. Carrie, not a single immigrant is a criminal, and not a single immigrant wants to go to prison or get deported. But this is how they brainwash them and scare them and put them into that fear factor. And so then they listen and do whatever the trafficker says. And that's the reason nobody comes out and shares and talks.
So who's doing the research on the numbers game in America on this?
They have the research. I always tell, I go to the White House, so they have the research, the department, agencies working on this. But then I work with so many victims here in the US, whether they're from Mexico, Nepal, India, Pakistan, and they're very scared. They're like, I was myself very scared, to be honest. I never wanted to come out and talk, so I can feel their feelings, emotions, and sentiments. I, being educated, I never ever wanted to talk. I never wanted my story to go outside the 4 walls. But then eventually, why I did it, I think it was one of the God's purpose, because 2 people, my friends, died here, who were victims of labor trafficking, whom I met here, and that changed me. That somebody has to need to talk. And when I saw all that going on, I could not take it. I said, man, somebody needs to stand up and talk. And that's what I'm doing. It's not about me. I never wanted to be on the news. I never wanted to be a speaker. It was all by design, default, or God's blessing. But I always, whenever I do this, I always think of the survivors and victims. So whenever I even go to the White House, I always think of, first I think of all the victims and survivors, that I'm representing them, not me. And I'm trying to be their voice. And I work with so many victims here, even today, but they are scared. But when they look at me, they get courage, they get hope.
Mm.
And they're now willing to come out and like, at least talk to me and share with me what's happening. And they're able to stand up. But it's a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight.
Mm.
And that's the reason like I'm trying to do this and started the Eyes Open International.
Mm. So on Sustainable Development Goals, which we're having a symposium on this summer, and you're coming along to talk about decent work. What are some of the principles that you're looking at for governments to pay more attention to? I
always feel that every government in every country should focus on human trafficking. It's good for the number one for the citizens. If the citizens are happy and they have freedom, automatically the government prospers, the country prospers. You have to understand that's the root. So every country like should focus on having an advisory council on human trafficking. Should be there on the portfolio on the top in the ministry level. And in that, I would strongly recommend to engage survivors. Because honestly, Dr. Carrie, I can tell you one thing is that you might do a PhD on human trafficking at Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, any of the best universities in the world, which I duly respect. But when you call one survivor, maybe it's a girl from a sex trafficking or a boy from a labor trafficking, it will be a totally thrown away episode that you might have never heard of, never dreamt of, and never thought of. Because these perpetrators are very smart, and what a victim or survivor is going through is totally different. So my one message would be like to engage survivors. Number two, I always tell that to ensure that everybody has freedom. So everybody has a voice. They should not be curtailed or pressed. And the last but not the least, the third one is that we need to focus on the perpetrators. We are not focusing on the perpetrators. We always say victim, victim, victim. Oh, he's a foreign national. He came here illegally. Okay, fine. Agreed. Fine. He came for whatever reasons, like maybe poverty, economical instability in that particular country. Every country has a lot of weaknesses. And I've spoken to so many immigrants here. They say, Harold, we would have not come to United States of America had there had been political peace in our own country. There was no corruption. We would have stayed in our own country. And that's a fact. Ian would not come here. So having said that, we need to focus on the perpetrator. I always say that when you save one victim, you save one survivor. But when you prosecute one perpetrator, you save 100 victims. You don't know how many victims go through one perpetrator. So focusing on the perpetrator is important and showing that as an example to the community or to the world. See, if you do this, you go to prison. So other perpetrator will get scared. The reason is that today, it's a $150 billion industry. The risk factor is very thin in human trafficking, but the profit margins are very thick. Out of 10, Dr. Carrie, you can go to the stats. 8 perpetrators or traffickers do not go to prison.
Yeah, no, I know. 8 out of 10, I know.
Yeah, and secondly, many times I would say the percentage of being that in the media or perpetrators being caught is also very less compared to victims being caught, like in sex trafficking or labor trafficking.
So, okay, so finally, in terms of CARP, what are you looking forward to in coming along to the symposium?
I'm pretty excited. Like, I really get excited. Initially, I was very nervous, but I think after I met you, I became more excited. I always tell my kids, I met like Dr. Carrie, she's such a high-profile lady, and she's so inspiring. Like, you send me message on WhatsApp and all. And I get excited. I like to talk to like students. That's my passion. I've done presentations at all of the universities. I've done at Harvard here and all the universities in the US and in India, schools. So I think like education is the best prevention.
Yeah.
So, and sharing your own example, other thing I realized, because I was very hesitant to share my story because it was like a stigma, it was a shame. But once I learned 2 things in life when I went for counseling, I never wanted to go for counseling. And I always recommend that every victim or survivor should go for counseling, mandatory. Like for me, I was from India, so counseling was considered a mentally sick or gone case. But after I went for counseling, after 6 months, my service, that counselor, she told me, Harold, I've been listening to you that every time you come here, you say that you're illegal. So she might have noted me, but I used to always say I'm illegal, like, I was my nickname like that. And I used to think I'm a criminal, I'll get jailed. So she, after 6 months, told me, like, Harold, wait, hold on. Let me tell you, you're not illegal, you're undocumented.
Yeah.
That one word, 1 second, flipped my entire life. I was so relaxed. Oh, I'm not a criminal. I will not go to jail. okay, I don't have documents. That's it. So, but I'm just telling you how it changes for the victim.
Yeah.
Always encourage community members that if you see somebody, don't call him, oh, are you like illegal,
Yeah.
Oh, you're undocumented. So
Yeah.
that fellow feels good, number one. Number two, always call him by his name, because at his workplace, nobody calls him by name.
Yeah.
And after a year, my service provider, another thing I learned was that, I was not accepting what happened to me. I always had that guilt. I said I was so educated, I was a father, I was married, and how did I do this? But I think that age, caste, nationality, status doesn't matter. It can happen to anyone at any age. And you need to accept it. The day I started accepting it, I started healing. So that is how, and that's the reason I want to come to the symposium and tell people, to tell the students, is that to share my story, what happened to me. Always say, fix the problem, not the blame, and always tell in my presentation to take 4 things. Number 1, be happy. I should make it very simple before I do my presentation. Number 2, be thankful,
Yeah.
And I said, number 3, I said, be grateful or be empowered, by learning my experience. And number 4, the most important is that believe in yourself. And if you do these 4 things, you can always change your life. So that is the overall objective of coming and sharing. Because many times students, they commit suicide for pressure, depression, and I always tell that suicide or silence is not a choice or an option. I always say, we say a victim committed suicide in maybe human trafficking. I said, no, that's not a suicide, it's a murder. So we say suicide. I said, no, it's not a suicide. People just even suicide. No, it's a murder. Because I've seen it very close hand to many people. So I try to encourage students that live your life. Don't surrender. Don't quit. Do something better. Be aware of, you might be in London, in UK, in Cambridge, university studying. Tomorrow you might go on a study abroad trip to some place, other country, maybe India or maybe South Africa. And you could become a victim of human trafficking or sex trafficking. I was so shocked, Dr. Carrie, that when I was doing a presentation at Harvard University, one of the professors, lady like you, she had come there from San Diego, and she shared that in one of the students, a foreign national students, became a victim. She was on an F1 visa, student visa, and became a victim of sex trafficking. So then it hit me. I said, "Oh wow!" Because she didn't have some money, and it's a long story, but
she got caught. She got caught in the circle, the portion.
Yeah, so that's how I learned so much stuff.
You never know. You never know.
Yes.
Now, okay, so we're going to thank you so much for that, Harold, and I look forward so much to seeing you in Cambridge.